Hi, Jack. It's Miss Strother, and I would like to welcome you to the screencast of your final exam essay first draft. I can see here, just from a quick glance at your MLA formatting, that you are almost there. This is fine. Okay, typically you would say English 9 honors. In any case, that's fine. However, I am Miss Strother, not just Strother. I prefer to have the dates be spelled out, but that's going to be different for each teacher that you work with, so there's no absolute one way or another. You have to do that. Okay. You have a nice title. It's creative. I would make sure that you are going through and indenting at the beginning of each paragraph. So start here. Interesting. Huh. Wow, I did it for you. Okay. I think, so what you need here clearly is to push it over one, and you can either use this tool right here, or you can just push tab. Same thing here. Holy cow, man, these are very long. If you are doing this consistently, you're gonna need to start using those ellipses, which are the dot that goes from one sentence to another, because one of the things that it clearly states in your rubric is that your analysis is twice as long as your quotation, and it is impossible to do if your quotation is about 6 lines, 10 lines long. The other thing I can see is that you're actually not doing your parenthetical in-text citations quite right, so you need to take out the P. Certain situations you will do that, but not for MLA, and you will just you'll have your parentheses. That's when we said a parenthetical citation, and the period gets shoved out to the end there. Okay, make sure you're going down and doing that for each one. Okay, and then on these ones you want to be careful. You kind of have to fake out word. You need to make a space in order to create that single apostrophe and go back to backspace it, so that you are actually doing it correctly. Like I said, you got to fake out word. Again, push that over so that it's tabbed in. And that one. And that one. And that one. And here's your conclusion. Very cool. Okay. Oh, and a works cited list. You want to make sure you've got a works cited list. That is 2 points, which is not dramatic, but when your essay is only worth 70 points, it does make an impact. I'm putting a very good example on Blackboard, so you can always go and check Blackboard. It's going to have a lot of the stories that you have used, so you're just going to need to go find it. Otherwise, go to easybib.com, especially for the danger of a single story, because I do not have that in my works cited list just yet, so go ahead and put that in. You might be able to search by the website if you pull the TED Talk website in there, and if you can't, make sure, here, let's go to EasyBib and make sure that you are using this here where it says all 59 options, and let's see if we can find a good one for you. Probably this one, film or online video. And then try to search it from there and go on. Make sure you capitalize it, because EasyBib doesn't capitalize things for you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through your introduction, ideally one body paragraph, and your conclusion. And I might not have enough time in this screencast to do all 3, just because you write extensively, albeit beautifully. So I will do the best I can and read the most that I can and give you as much feedback as I can. But I might not be able to do 3 complete paragraphs. Okay. Okay. Hope you didn't get any random crazy noises like I did in my ear. All right, going to read for you your first body paragraph, or your first paragraph, your introduction. Literature is morally instructive because it provides the reader or listener with a means of learning from mistakes that are not theirs. Beautiful. Perfect. Love it. And I loved it when you talked about it in your presentation as well. Characters and stories have flaws and make mistakes that readers are able to relate to and learn from with ease. I might put a comma there. It's one of those, it's kind of up to you on your preference. Just because when I read it, I take a slight pause, but I don't take a full pause. You can decide which one you like better when you read it out loud to yourself. Readers or listeners are then able to form their own lists of wrongs and rights and do's and don'ts, which is an example of them creating their own morals and values. Cool. Why don't you say developing instead of creating? Because that's kind of what they're doing, is they're like that, they're forming their list, they're creating their list, but it helps them develop their own morals and values. Okay, in The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down, comma, by Anne Fanaman, a Hmong girl with epilepsy goes through an extremely difficult journey through the American medical system, which ultimately ends up failing her because of miscommunication and differences between the Hmong and American cultures. Okay. Let's not italicize that. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot. Cells are taken from an African-American woman with cervical cancer without her permission. These cells end up saving many lives because scientists were able to experiment on them, comma, but the ethics behind taking the cells without permission has become a major debate. Very nice. I might consider doing this. Here you put it into, so you put Henrietta Lacks into two different sentences. I would consider doing that with The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down, simply because it's beautifully written. It's still a rather long sentence, so think about it. Finally, in the TED Talk, The Danger of a Single Story by Chimamanda Adichie, usually she goes by her whole name, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. The origins of stereotypes are examined and criticized. All these pieces of literature end up teaching the readers or listeners something about their, maybe you want to say their own morals and values, or you could say the morals and values of of a particular culture. It's up to you. Therefore, literature is morally instructive, as seen in The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, and The Danger of a Single Story, TED Talk by Chimamanda Ngozi. Make sure you put that in there, Adichie. Actually, I might consider saying, therefore, literature is morally instructive. Therefore, literature is morally instructive, especially in the text of, but you might want to play with that. So think about which one you like better. Okay. First, the major theme in The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down is that the differences between the Hmong and American cultures, I would say mainstream U.S., I don't know if I would say American, just because America includes Canada and Mexico and all of those South American countries. I think maybe what you can say is you can say U.S. and in parentheses. It's not going to bother most people, and you can use it over and over again. If you put it in the parentheses, then you can use it over and over again later on. But you want to make sure that you're clear about which one you are working with at this point. Led to miscommunication between doctors and a Hmong family with a young girl who had epilepsy. Okay, so I can guarantee that in this particular paragraph, you are not trying to prove that this is the theme. What you're trying to prove is that literature is morally instructive. Therefore, this part must be in your topic sentence for this paragraph. You are completely correct in stating that the differences of cultures led to the miscommunication, which created all sorts of other things. But you want to make sure that you're being extraordinarily clear, and it is going to feel a little bit repetitive, but I don't want you trying to spend an entire paragraph proving that the theme is differences in cultures led to miscommunication. Because really what you're trying to say is that these differences, the miscommunications, the fact that there are differences in culture, and all kinds of the breakdown in communication and the breakdown in care as a result of the breakdown in communication really are the things that are morally instructive, or that the author uses to instruct her readers on how to deal with situations like this, or how we really need to become more culturally aware so that we can avoid that kind of thing. So make sure your topic sentence fits. Okay, an example of this miscommunication is when Leah, the Hmong girl with epilepsy, is taken away from her parents, Phua and now Kao, and put into foster care. On June 26th, Leah was removed from her home again, this time for a placement of at least 6 months. Her parents were not notified in advance that she was going to be taken. When the CPS workers arrived, Phua was out of the house, visiting relatives. Several years later, now Kao told me, through an interpreter, what had happened. He was under the impression that the social workers, who were accompanied by a Hmong interpreter named Su Hyong, were police officers. The police came to take Leah away. Sue told the doctor that we didn't give Leah any medicine, and that is why the doctors got mad. And they came to take Leah away. I was very angry. I almost killed the translator. The translator? I said, "This is my child and I love her." The police said for 6 months, Leah is government property. Okay, again, fix this here. Period's got to go on the outside. Take that out. This was a major blunder by the social workers and doctors because they did not tell Leah's parents what was going on. Leah's parents had no idea that Leah was going to be taken away, and that led them to them getting extremely frustrated with both doctors and the social workers. Okay, here, so before you move on, because I can tell you're about to move on to another piece of evidence, which is great. Now, here you want to have your analysis. You don't want to wait. Do it right here. How is this morally instructive? Be explicit. I know it seems a little bit blunt. Sometimes you got to be blunt. And be explicit. How is this one example morally instructive? Okay, I need to move on, but that's what you are going to be paying attention to. After every single quotation, I want less narrative, meaning telling the story, and more analysis. How does this really prove your thesis statement? In a lot of these cases, you can get at least 2 sentences of how it explicitly shows your thesis. So work on that. Okay, I have about 2 minutes, so I'm going to move on to your conclusion. Okay, literature is morally instructive as seen in The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, and The Danger of a Single Story, TED Talk by Chimamanda Adichie, Ngozi Adichie. Please check, I think it is danger of with a lowercase, but please check that. The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down taught the reader that effective communication is essential when interacting with another culture. Beautiful. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks showed that giving credit where it is due is a moral that a person should live by, because recognition for their accomplishments is all that a person wants. Cool. I'm afraid I understand that better because I have already seen your presentation, but it makes perfect sense to me right now. And the danger of a single story, be careful when you begin a sentence with "and," you might hit some English teachers who will take points off for that. Showed that by simply listening to one perspective of a culture is how stereotypes are formed, and stereotypes are misleading because they do not, remember, we're taking out contractions, show all aspects of a culture. These 3 pieces of literature each let the reader or listener learn from mistakes that were not originally theirs. Therefore, they have accomplished their ultimate goal, to educate the reader or listener on moral values. Jackie wrapped that up beautifully. That's exactly what you want to do. So put in that analysis piece, put in your works cited list, and you are pretty much good to go. Again, I would consider shortening up those quotations, but we also have, oh my goodness, you are currently at 8 pages. You certainly need to take out some of those quotations. And Anyway, and then go through and reread what you wrote, because you're making some teeny tiny little mistakes that I think you're going to kick yourself for. And I really look forward to reading your final draft.